Synergy Loves Company.
We have this coterie of rich franchises, the company now, that people want to engage with.
I came here to try and continue what Walt Disney and his associates set in motion 50 years ago, which is to experiment with every new and innovative kind of entertainment possible.
It's what they hope to do here, to really develop something that, it's just more than an entertainment enterprise. It's something that contributes in many other ways.
Hey, this is Synergy Loves Company, where we explore how Disney connects to everything. I'm Eric, and on this show, we always take a look at the Walt Disney Company. It's a massive pop cultural icon of Americana. Since its beginning, Disney has evolved and changed with the times, but instead of chasing trends, Disney itself is often a trendsetter, a leader in the industry of entertainment. And you know what that means? A bunch of diehard Disney fans. It never goes out of style. But hold up, because there's another ever-evolving American pop cultural trendsetter whose fans have a reputation for taking the word devotion to a whole new level. Yep, today we're talking about Miss Americana herself, Taylor Swift, and Disney, of course. So keeping me company today is one of my Swiftiest friends and one of my Disneyest friends, if those can be adjectives, Sarah Jagoda. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
So I got to start with this idea for this Taylor Swift and Disney episode comes from something that you sent me last fall that I totally did not understand when you sent it to me. And I was like, okay. But you were like, we should do an episode on this. And I had to actually look it up. So could you tell us about what that was?
That was a formerly Shop Disney post of a chicken tender on a Disney plate with ketchup and ranch with the caption, "Eating chicken with ketchup and seemingly ranch," which is a reference to Taylor Swift eating the same thing at a Chiefs game the Sunday prior to posting.
And you sent it to me and I was like, cool. I don't know what this means. And I had to Google what that meant. But then once I figured it out, I was like, that is an awesome idea. And we started kind of putting some ideas together. And here we are on Taylor Swift and Disney, this episode of Synergy Loves Company. So before we get into Taylor Swift and Disney, I got to ask the question, how is the Swiftie fandom and the Disney fandom similar?
Okay, so preparation and liking to have fun. Taylor Swift concerts. You can be whatever age you want. Late 30s like us, right?
Yep.
And you get to wear sequins and sparkles and whatever you want. And you can dress like you're a 12-year-old girl or whatever and kind of go back to things that are more fun and enjoy them at the concert. And everyone is doing the same thing. So it's like Disney World, but you get to wear your ears and your merch and like deck out like you necessarily wouldn't in everyday life. So that's a big thing. Sort of like everybody loves it. Everybody wants to be there. You can be really eccentric about it and still be like accepted and safe and comfortable. You don't worry about it.
It's that safe place.
Yes. Safe, happy place.
Nice.
And then I would say the preparation and the connections. Like you can't just kind of go into, I guess you could, but I don't like go into a Taylor Swift concert and I prepared for probably more than 6 months. Like you want to know the lyrics. You want to know the connections between albums, between eras. You need to know the aesthetic of everything. It's sort of similar to like prepping for a big Disney trip. I'm a more Disney parks fan than anything. And like doing the research and making your itinerary and doing all of those things. Nice.
So it kind of appeals to that same Disney planner in the Disney parks kind of realm. And I like that idea of I never really thought about it too, where you can kind of we can do things like Disney bounding and dress up to go to the parks, but even though as someone who constantly just wears Disney shirts like all the time, we don't necessarily always dress in Disney clothes every day in our everyday lives. But in Disney, it's the big event. It's that thing you kind of share in the experience with the people around you there too. So I like that. I like the fact too that you brought up that like, you know, grown-ups like us can even get involved with the kind of the magic and the fun of either Taylor Swift or Disney, because I also have another guest here with us. And you might remember, if you've listened to the show before, you might remember her from the Perry Grip episode that we did early on in the episodes. And that's my daughter, Maddie. So Maddie, when you heard we had a Taylor Swift episode coming up, you're also a Swiftie. You had to be part of it. So welcome to the show.
Hi.
Welcome back, I guess I should say.
Well, yeah.
So, do you agree with some of the stuff Sarah was talking about? Do you have anything to add about being a Disney fan or a Taylor Swift fan?
Yeah, they're pretty similar in that they're very big and, like, you do a lot of stuff to, like, prepare for them and stuff like that.
Nice. All right. So, one of the main reasons I invited both of you here today is because I have a game that I want to play that I'm going to call Taylor Swift EARas. And you can't hear that in the podcast, but it's spelled EARAS, EARas, like Mickey ears, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of Taylor Swift's eras, and we're going to try to determine Disney characters that best encapsulate that given era. So we'll hit an album, an era, and you guys tell us what that vibe of that album is and what Disney character would fit that era. We'll also talk about direct connections Taylor Swift had with the Disney Company during those different eras. All right. So you guys ready?
Yes.
Ready?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's start in 2006 with Taylor Swift's album, Taylor Swift. The first one. The one where she was...
We like to call it debut.
That's
debut.
right.
It's called it's not just called Taylor Swift.
She
What
calls
is?
it Taylor Swift, but we call it debut.
It's just easier because there's her name and then the album that is her name, and it just needs...
I can already tell how this episode's going to go because I said the name of the album and you both corrected me at the same time. So let's get ready to do this. So the big Disney connection I have here is that her music video for Teardrops on My Guitar would air during the commercial breaks during Disney Channel. Teardrops on My Guitar would play, and it kind of coincided with the time when High School Musical was being played on Disney Channel a lot, and it was picking up some steam and becoming a cultural phenomenon. So a lot of people might associate early Taylor Swift with High School Musical because they were used to seeing that video with the movie whenever they'd watch it on Disney Channel. So for this first era, the debut era, what Disney characters kind of fit the vibe of this debut album?
Okay, so debut is green, Eric. It's the first thing you need to know.
What now?
Okay.
Wait. When I was talking to Maddie before this, she was talking about colors. And I was like, colors, I mean, sure, a color could be, but colors are that important?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are. See, this is what I was trying to tell you.
Okay.
It's like the whole vibe is the color, and it
There's
works.
like an entire aesthetic.
Yes.
Okay. So,
And it's based
Green.
around the color green in this case.
okay.
So green, my first inclination was Tinkerbell, but I have changed to Ariel because we got the Green Mermaid tail, so it's going to fit the aesthetic. But then there's a song on debut called A Place in This World, and it's her first album. She's young. There's like young love. So I settled on Ariel.
So that's like her I Want song at the beginning of the Disney movie. I would see, like, in my mind, I was like, this one's real country. So are we going to head to Grizzly Hall and get some country bears involved?
We are not going to do that.
But
We are
apparently
not.
it's
It
more
doesn't
green.
fit. Yes.
Okay.
So I think definitely some sort of princess character because it's like the starter album and all the princesses are like trying to come over something and she's trying to like get popular at this point. So either Ariel or I was thinking Tiana because she's trying to like make her own restaurant and like create
I like that.
Tiana is also a good fit.
She's
Yes.
trying to make it.
Yeah.
Make it. Okay. So see, that helps me understand a little bit more about what a Taylor Swift era is. And apparently color is super important. I'm going to learn more about being a Swiftie before the day is done. So let's move. Let's go. Taylor Swift didn't do that much else with Disney. We got that the vibe of this album is Tiana, Ariel kind of green feeling, deep sea kind of green feeling, Tiana green feeling. And now we get into the next era, which is 2008's Fearless. And I think this one is Taylor Swift's Disney era because this is where the most Disney stuff happens in real life with Taylor Swift. So she co-stars in the Jonas Brothers 3D concert experience, which went to movie theaters. And she and the Jonas Brothers performed Shoulda Said No on stage as part of that concert. So she kind of comes out, performs her song, and they kind of have a big part of that show. In addition to that, she was in Hannah Montana, the movie, as herself, performing Crazier, which I don't think was on an album other than the Hannah Montana soundtrack. And then she also wrote the song You'll Always Find Your Way Back that was performed by Hannah Montana or Miley Cyrus in the movie. So she wrote the song, Miley performed it for the movie. And then not super Disney Company related, but in 2008, Taylor Swift met Selena Gomez, who I know is part of her squad.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And is that what I call it? Her squad?
Sure. Yeah.
What is it called? Come on.
It doesn't have like a definite
Didn't she
name.
call her friends like something?
No.
No? I thought she had like a name for her friends. Maybe that's just me being
It's like
out of touch.
squad goals is kind of a thing.
Okay,
Yeah,
so like
squad kind of works.
okay, so Selena
You can call it
Gomez
that, yeah.
and Taylor Swift met in 2008 on a double date with Joe and Nick Jonas, which is just very Disney. And to me, it almost seems like at this point in time, Disney was trying really hard to get Taylor Swift to be part of that Disney Channel life that we got, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, the Jonas Brothers, Miley Cyrus. At this time, all those pop stars were coming from Disney, and it seemed like Disney was trying to pull her in. She never went fully in, but she did do a lot of stuff with them at this point in time. So for Fearless, her Disney era, who is the Disney character that gives us the vibe of Fearless?
This one was harder, I feel like, to figure out.
I have a couple things. Number one, I'm just going to point out that Should Have Said No is from Debut, even though she played it in the Fearless era.
Yes.
Just so you know.
I did know that.
Good job.
But
Okay.
it comes after that when the
It
album
does. I
came
get
out.
it.
So I put it with this one, yeah.
And I mean, there is a lot of talk about her writing. She writes songs for other people. I think more she just writes songs and then decides that she's not going to sing them. So I would be curious to know more about how she ended up on the Hannah Montana soundtrack. Like, did she have the song or did they ask her to write the song? Do you know?
I don't know that for sure off the top of my head. I know they, and see, I think that's where my head, when I saw that she wrote a song for the movie, that's when my head went like, whoa, Disney was hardcore, like courting her to be a Disney star. In that they probably were like, hey, be in the movie. You're in the movie. Would you write a song? Like trying to give her any sort of in on joining the Disney, group of stars. But she, so like write this song for us. You could be a songwriter, be in the movies, all this kind of stuff. So like I'm guessing, my guess would be they either asked her to submit songs and picked a couple of them, or they may have even asked her to write it for the movie.
Right. So, do you know the Fearless color?
Fearless is, so I will say, I physically owned Debut, Fearless, and Speak Now. Although color's going to be a problem for Speak Now for me because I had the Target one.
Okay,
Spoiler alert.
come on.
But anyways,
Come on.
The Target edition, which was red.
It was red.
But in Fearless, it's very gold and sparkling.
Okay.
Okay,
So
good
we're
job.
golden yellow-ish for Fearless. So my proposal is we're going to go Belle, yellow dress, and then I'm thinking love story, music video aesthetic.
Yes.
Like the whole Romeo and Juliet situation. But she is in a dress that has got the belle dress aesthetic.
It does kind of look, yeah.
And then we can go with kind of, there's like a princess fairy tale vibe, right? We've got Love Story, White Horse. And then I was thinking You Belong With Me, Belle and Beast. So I went Belle.
I like Belle. I think that works.
It's Enchanted, but that's a different song.
Yes,
Enchanted
that's
is a different era.
That's but like that
That's a
enchanting
whole new-
princess kind of
Yes.
magical kind of feel.
But we have to wait until.
Also, Belle is very fearless, if I could throw that out there, in that
Yes,
she would have to
see?
go to the, she goes into the Beast's castle and trades her life with her dad's. I could get behind that. See, at first I was like, are you just saying it because of the color? I'm not gonna.
No.
I'm never gonna
Oh
live this
my
color thing down. I'm just gonna be like, is it really that much about color?
Okay. Then you tell us. Who do you think it should be?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I didn't know that
Exactly.
color was going to have this much
It
to do with
is.
it. But
If
no,
you look,
I'll get
it's
behind
like-
Belle for Fearless because that works for me. That works. I like that. Is that what you guys were both kind of on that same
Yeah,
wavelength? Belle?
I agree. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So I already kind of previewed this next era that we're getting into. Taylor Swift starts dialing back off of doing as much with Disney. Like I said, Fearless was that one. She has so many things that she did, mostly with Disney Channel stars. But in 2010, with Speak Now, we only get one little bit, more Disney Channel that is, but we get Taylor Swift appearing on a very tiny talk show with Phineas and Ferb, and it's called Take Two. And it's their 2-minute talk show where they interview a big star. They mention in the little interview that Candace would be jealous, their sister. It seems like Candace is a Swiftie herself. And she just kind of talks about being Taylor Swift and performing concerts, and it's Phineas and Ferb. Now, Sarah, what's your familiarity with Phineas and Ferb?
Not a lot. I watched the clip. I have not seen it before.
Gotcha.
I watched that whole series probably
Yes.
twice.
I was going to say, this is where Maddie's Disney Channel expertise will come in. So
Yes.
Phineas and Ferb and Taylor Swift. What's the vibe of Phineas and Ferb?
I think it's kind of weird that she was on something to do with Phineas and Ferb because Phineas and Ferb is really strange and it doesn't make sense half the time and it's goofy so I think it was kind of a weird choice.
That's of her era that she was in at that time. So let's talk about the era, the Speak Now era. As I said, color would be a problem for me because when I bought this CD way back when, I bought the Target Deluxe Edition that had her in red on the front because of Target instead of the purple color that she should have been. But is purple going to play into this?
Speak Now Taylor's version is purple. So we will go with Speak Now TV. The color is purple, right, Maddie?
Yes, purple. Definitely.
Okay. I am going to go Rapunzel.
I think that's where I was heading to. It's so especially on the Taylor's version cover, she has a big flowy dress and it's very princessy, the vibe from that. And you were saying, Enchanted is from that era album. So it works with Rapunzel.
Well, if Enchanted is on the album, why wouldn't you pick Giselle from Enchanted? Can I ask that question? Why does that not work?
I didn't like Enchanted, the movie.
You didn't?
Not really. Okay, so Rapunzel.
Also, there's no purple connection.
But does it have to be?
But it doesn't fit the purple
it has
vibe.
to fit the aesthetic.
Because
It has to fit the aesthetic of the
It's
era.
not just purple. It's the whole vibe that goes with purple. So it's purple
But
is no.
does
it's
that fit the aesthetic
so
of
Speak
Taylor
Now is more
Swift's-
princessy, flowy, pretty
purple. Okay.
More, yeah.
Okay.
So there's a whole vibe that goes with the color. It's not just the color.
Aesthetic, vibe, color, hairstyle.
Yes. Hairstyle
theming.
is a big thing.
It's font.
Musical style too?
Yeah, think about the font.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So she
it's got
changes per era.
Right.
So I once heard her say in an interview, it's because she wants to look at a picture and know what era she was in. She'll be able to say, oh, that was my Speak Now hairstyle. And outfit. She changes her clothes too.
What she wears out in public is different.
Yes.
It just totally changes when it's a new between era.
She's got a whole new vibe.
Yes.
So we're
Got a whole
thinking
new vibe.
Rapunzel
Yes.
is Speak Now because
And It's not just the purple, though. Okay, so we've got Rapunzel.
Yeah.
And then there's like the Flynn Rider love story situation. And then there's like finding her parents, sort of coming of age still.
Yeah.
It's multiple things.
And would you say, and this maybe I'm being horribly off base for Swifties and jump all over me if I am, but would you say that kind of if you zoom out and look at the eras, the like debut through Speak Now are more related than where we're going next?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of vibe I got from them.
So each of the albums kind of has sort of like, some people call them like sister albums, that they kind of like go together more than others do. Like when you're comparing them, like some of them like are more like related or similar in style than others.
And are these three often lumped together?
These ones are pretty similar, the first three.
The first three.
I'm not off base for saying that.
You're not off base. And
Okay.
Speak Now she wrote the entire album herself.
Yes.
It's the only one.
That's kind of Rapunzel.
And she just wanted to do like her own thing.
Being that Rapunzel is a songwriter trying to do her own thing.
Yes.
I'll say that. I'll give you that.
And it will tie into your next...
Yes. Let's get into the next one, because someone else must have thought that Taylor Swift had Rapunzel vibes, because even though we're getting into the Red era, during this time, she posed for a Disney Dream Portrait, which was this cool ad campaign back in the mid-2000s or the 2010s, I'll say, where Annie Leibovitz, famous photographer Annie Leibovitz, would photograph celebrities in Disney situations, is what I'll say. They had some that would be Disney parks related, some that were Disney movie related, and they would promote Disney as a company, Disney parks, all sorts of Disney all over the place. And so Taylor Swift got to pose for a Disney Dream Portrait, and she was portrayed as Rapunzel, sitting up in the tower with kind of her hair just kind of coiling all around the tower. So someone definitely, I think, probably got that Speak Now Rapunzel vibe and jumped on it for this portrait, even though it comes out in the Red era.
Did they take the picture in the Speak Now era and like bring it out in the Red era, or how did that work?
I mean, it's possible that it was taken before Red came out. So Red comes out in 2012, right? The Dream Portrait of Taylor Swift came out the year later. So it's hard to tell when they took the picture.
Yeah, looking at the picture, it did look more Speak Now-ish than it did match with the Red era, just in general.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was wondering if it had anything to do with that.
Yeah, and they might have taken it before. But we are now in the Red era. And
yes,
she
that's
starts
true.
pumping the brakes on what she does with Disney coming up into this Red era.
There's a lot less after this.
You might start to wonder if Taylor Swift and Disney are ever getting back together at this point. Okay.
Oh, funny. The funniest thing I can say about that song is that when Andrew and I were getting married, that was the single on the radio. So I'm like running pre-wedding to We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together.
That was your wedding song. No, and I will mention right now, because you did mention Andrew, and I said we'd bring him up at some point, because he is he has the esteemed pleasure before Maddie now being the 2-time guest, but he was the only 2-time Synergy Loves Company guest before Maddie now. Now they're tied.
Now me too.
Yes. Red.
Yes.
The Red era is kind of transitional.
Yeah.
Right? The album's criticized for not being sonically cohesive. There's a little country starting to go pop.
It's where she's like turning into more of what we see next and then like fading out of what we've seen.
You just said, I got an idea.
Okay.
Should I say mine?
Are you thinking of turning red?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you said she's red and she's turning into something else. So that's my guess. What did you guys think?
I have a lot for this one. It's hard, okay? Because the red aesthetic
there's so many different.
Like the red is important.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yes.
Turning
and then
red.
there was kind of this like black and white striped movement that went with it. And the Red tour was the first tour that I saw in person in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Nice.
And the ending of the Red tour, she does this whole like circus ringmaster moment
Oh.
Right?
Yes, she does.
Like full costumes, circus, everything.
Like, it's totally, like, changed.
Okay,
She's the
so,
greatest
like,
showman.
Basically. It's kind of that vibe.
So, like,
Which
she
is
literally
Disney adjacent. Because it was Fox.
But
anyways, okay.
Yeah.
So she looks like the ringmaster, which we could call on Dumbo and be like, she's the ringmaster, but it's a horrible character. So I just can't live with that. Can't live with that.
Eric.
The look is okay, but everything else is wrong. Then, next thought, I was like, Queen of Hearts fits the red, white, and black aesthetic.
Is she too evil, though? Like,
but she's not right.
Like, it's not like the same, like, sound. It's more like she's evil.
So then
Yeah.
I'm going to totally drop the aesthetic and the vibe and give red to Anna.
Oh,
based on
I see that.
the breakup with Hans.
Yes.
We are never, ever, ever getting back together.
Okay.
All of the horrible things, like All Too Well, came from that album. I Almost Do, my favorite Taylor Swift song. And then it ends with Begin Again, right?
Yes.
And then she starts with Kristoff. So I'm dropping the aesthetic and the color. I went Anna.
So are we doing Anna from Frozen 1? The first one?
Yeah.
I think Anna from Frozen 1.
I think.
I did consider your turning red, but
I like it.
See,
What do you
now
think, Maddie?
we
What did
totally
you think?
switched. So now she's not going with the colors and you are. See how this works?
That's true. You got me there.
See?
You got me there.
It
jumped
makes sense,
But you
the
said it was
colors.
like a transitional time,
Yes,
and like
I
in
see, I see.
Maylin's
So you're
life,
suggesting it's
transitional
Maylin
time.
as your character.
That was what I was guessing,
Okay.
but you guys seem to think that maybe Anna.
I
is
like
it
Anna better.
Okay, well there you go.
I think her as a character.
I can hear
fits
that,
more
though.
Than Maylin.
Okay,
It just makes more sense.
okay, I like that. So it's not always color, but color plays a big part.
yes.
Okay.
Anna does wear lots of pink, which is kind of similar, like a darker pinkish color.
Yeah,
It kind of works.
you can make it work. Well, and I will say, if you're telling me that red itself is talked about as being all over the place, Anna's a little all over the place, isn't she?
She is. She's
Like
kind of
as
a
a
mess
character?
sometimes.
Yeah, which is kind of another cool connection there. Yeah. All right, so red. Like I said, we kind of dial back the direct Disney connections when we get into these next few eras. So we'll go into 1989, which was in 2014. I'm just throwing years around at this point.
You are.
And Sarah, you had to come up with a Disney-ish connection for us on this one because I didn't even know enough about that. So you added Wonderland to our list. What about Wonderland screams Disney to you?
It is an Alice in Wonderland track.
It definitely is.
I mean, I probably should have picked up on that, right?
like
Going down the rabbit hole, Cheshire Cat smile. It's sort of, so it's like we found Wonderland. So her and her partner are kind of in this chaotic place in love. But it is for sure got all of the Alice in Wonderland references.
Yes,
Nice.
it does.
So does that mean 1989 is Alice?
I don't think we can jump that quickly
Okay.
to Alice.
Now,
I think
can I
we
ask-
need to think about
Can
this
I ask,
first.
I'm going to go back to colors a second because
Okay.
I got to ask a color question about 1989.
Okay, I want
because
to hear
when-
this.
Maddie got the
Yes,
Taylor's
this is a good
version
question.
vinyl and it was blue. I was like, that's interesting because 1989 used to be like black, white, and red, like Polaroid picture with like sepia tones because Polaroid colors are bad because that's what the album looked like way back in the day. So how did you get blue from that?
She did kind of change it, like through the clothes she started wearing when she was performing the songs. They started to get more like this light bluish color that we see in the Taylor's version when she released that.
But-
it turned more blue.
Did that change while she was touring for 1989 or during the Taylor's version part of? Tell me about that.
I
Yeah.
mean, so we adopt Taylor's version of everything. So
Yes.
1989 OG does not exist anymore.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah, because down with Scooter Braun.
Exactly.
I'm
So
in
we're
full
on
support of
1989
that. Yes.
TV.
So we're thinking
I
about
don't-
this.
I will say the blue. So she had the cover shirt with the seagulls that she designed, like it was the Taylor merch, was the blue.
Yes.
And she sold that during that era. So I think that's where it comes from.
Okay.
The straight blue. Now, I will say 1989 is one of my least favorite albums, which
For
everyone is.
I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
It's not my vibe.
Like,
I don't know what happened.
I liked
I
that
don't-
one.
like,
I think I had that one on CD too.
That's the one that when I was little, we would listen to it. It would come on the radio a lot. So I knew most of the songs, which I
That's
think
true.
that's why it's one of my favorites.
That's when you,
because
like,
I was the
became-
most familiar with it
when
I was
became a
little.
Swiftie.
Yeah.
So it like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like I saw the 1989 tour. Andrew and I went. It was not a great era for her. Like, it can go both ways. So it was like her first amazing, most popular album, broke all these records. But personally, she went through a lot. Like, she talks about it in Miss Americana, right? Like, she kind of had
you're right.
a bit of an eating disorder, felt all this pressure to be kind of an unhealthy version of herself, to put on that persona.
Like a
In
traditional
1989,
pop star.
she really, she tried to be a pop star more than being her. With the vibes that she had as a person. She went more trying to create pop music more.
So she's trying to be a different version of herself that she doesn't necessarily like.
She was forcing the pop songs
Even though
through the era.
the pop songs that's
They
some of her
worked.
most successful.
They did get popular, but
And she wrote with Shellback and Max Martin, right? So that was super NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, writing pop people.
no.
So how does that translate to a 1989 era selection of a Disney character, in that she had her most successful time, but she also maybe regrets some of her choices at that time, or the vibe of it, or now what Taylor's version has become, kind of that redemption story maybe. I don't know. What's the vibe of this one?
Maddie, I'm gonna tag you in here.
This one's hard. I feel like I couldn't decide, figure this one out.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Is it
I just thought of a new character I want it to be, but go
I
ahead.
was just going to ask, is it Isabella from Encanto? And that everyone thought she was perfect, flowery, but really on the inside, she wanted to be prickly, and she didn't always want to be perfect, even though she had to keep up that appearance. Does that work?
It's okay.
I was
The
trying.
aesthetic is wrong.
Yeah,
The
it's different.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
Okay, so then what?
It doesn't work enough to discard the bad aesthetic. It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so
Okay.
I was going to stick with Alice. I just told you it's one of my least favorite
Alice.
albums. But only because she puts Wonderland in there. So she's down that rabbit hole, right?
That's true.
Is Welcome to
And
New
Alice
York
is
a little
the
bit.
right color.
Alice is it's the same color. It's there.
But then I was just thinking, what about the genie?
Oh,
The right color.
the genie is also the right color.
The genie is super pop too. I would say that genie
I
is
think the
totally
genie
pop
works.
culture.
I like
yeah.
the genie.
That's the one I just thought of. I think the genie wins.
The genie.
Can there be a mix of Alice and the genie? Can that be a thing?
Out of
can it
any
be
two
mixed
Disney
together?
characters that could be, that's only one of the combinations that could work, because the genie can turn himself into anything. So the genie could be in the form of Alice, and then there you go.
Okay,
Right?
Perfect.
that's a little bit weird, but okay.
Okay.
I see where you're going.
All-
I like genie. I think we should go with genie for this one.
We're gonna lock in genie.
Yes,
Sweet.
agreed.
Cool. All right, let's
Okay,
go. Moving on to another
Ooh, I like this one.
era, which is 2017's Reputation. And we don't get a Taylor Swift doing anything with Disney in this situation, but Meg Donnelly, star of Zombies, covers this Taylor Swift song, Look What You Made Me Do, on Disney's Hall of Villains, which was a Halloween special. Zombies is pretty awesome. Meg Donnelly's pretty awesome. We would watch her in American Housewife, I know, in
Oh, I
our
forgot
house
about that.
too. Yeah, and
Yes.
so I enjoyed this cover, and it kind of pulls out the villainy of maybe this Reputation era. And not to say that Taylor Swift is a villain in this era. I don't think I would call her that.
I think when you're saying villain, you're also thinking about the color Because
maybe
do you know
am.
what the color is for this
It's
era?
black and white with that
Correct.
old English font, right? Like that.
It's like a newspaper lettery kind of.
Isn't it kind of close
It
to an old
is.
English?
I think I would just go straight black.
Yeah, I don't think it's very. It's just like dark colors.
Okay, so this
Just
one's going to be
slick back
tricky
hairstyles,
because
dark clothes.
you got to be careful how if you're going to go into the realm of villains.
I think it's easy to just say that it's a villain, but I think we need to go deeper
But
than
you
that.
have to think about, is Taylor Swift in this era really that evil as some of the villains that are some of our options? So what do you think? Who's our era for Reputation?
Okay, so Reputation. It's got a little villain era, but it's also a love album. It's a
Yeah, it
falling
is.
in love album.
Love and villains.
I have a question. Can we
Question.
do Marvel and Star Wars?
Sure.
Okay.
They're owned by Disney. It's all good.
I see. Let me think about this.
Okay, I will give you mine. It is a villain, but I think it's a misunderstood villain.
That's
that
good.
Fits the moment.
See, that's what
I
we were
went-
looking for.
I went Maleficent. And then you kind
Okay.
of go into the Maleficent live action films,
Right.
right?
That's true.
It kind of works.
Because that Maleficent is
Well, the whole
a
reason
more
she
pop-
is
yeah.
considered a villain is because she wasn't invited and she got upset. So it wasn't like she just always was evil. It was more
But-
just like
I
but-
mean, yeah.
yeah.
If you watch her, you're right. The story
you
of her like
just-
origin in the Maleficent movie, yeah, she wasn't always evil, but she gets pretty darn evil.
okay, I see. But like
I mean,
she was
so-
mad.
Exactly. It kind of fits like the snake aesthetic, Maleficent's dragon.
We do have to talk about the snake, Dad. Did you
So
know
what
that the
about
snake
Jafar
was
as a
thing?
snake?
No.
No.
That doesn't work though.
No.
No.
Okay.
Just because it's a snake.
Well,
So
yeah.
okay. It's just like snakes in general are like
What about
I don't know.
Kaa from the Jungle Book?
no.
That's not the right kind of snake.
You can't just say because it's a snake.
Sir Hiss from Robin
No,
Hood.
stop listing snakes.
I'm just listing
Okay,
Disney snakes.
So
at
listen,
this point.
wait, the snakes is snakes are like it fits, but it doesn't need to be a snake specific.
Okay.
Like
But like someone who would
So what is your
hang out with snakes.
what's your Marvel idea? Do you have
Yeah.
one?
I was just thinking because that would open up more characters who are like villainy, like Star Wars and Marvel. There are more like villains and like
But like what?
evil characters. Okay, so I don't know that much about it, but isn't Loki like sometimes good and sometimes evil?
Oh.
Like as a
I
person?
think so.
A Loki aesthetic for Reputation. He's kind of trickstery. And
Like,
he is sometimes the villain, but
It's just
sometimes
because he switches. Sometimes he's the villain and sometimes
Yeah.
he's like the good guy.
I mean,
that one's
we-
pretty good.
I will say, okay, back to my Maleficent.
yeah.
It was more so people making her the villain. She wasn't the villain, right?
Oh,
Taylor,
true.
not Maleficent.
That's true.
Okay. Now, I'm going to just point out that Loki and Maleficent both use green. I'm just going to put that out
Well,
there.
there is an underlying green
There
to the
is.
reputation.
It's like
a
area
dark
because of the
green.
snakes. Yes.
Oh, see, I was thinking
Like-
just black and white.
Emerald green.
So that
Yes,
would work
it's-
for Maleficent
When I've
and
done my
Loki.
Swifty like nails before, sometimes
Yes.
Reputation is dark, like emeraldy green. Like it.
So both
Could
of those would work in ways beyond what I initially understood. Maleficent
yes.
and Loki.
Maleficent is more of a darker green
Now-
color than Loki
Okay.
is. More of
Oh, well,
a
Loki
brighter-ish
has
green.
a few different
He
ones.
has- that's true.
And Loki, I'm just going to give a shout out to the multiverse for a second if we get into Marvel, because Taylor Swift does this thing, and maybe Reputation's not the time to talk about it, but I think it's around this time, Reputation, where she does some things in her music videos, which I've seen because I live in the same house as Maddie, where she has like different versions of herself talking to each other.
that was in which music video? But yeah, that was the one where it was like
I think
her.
it's look what you made me do.
I think you're
Okay.
right. And then it was like all of the different from the past eras, like all the different costumes she
the
wore.
past Taylors,
Like the
because she killed
costumes.
them.
Which is
Yes.
which is like when you go and you watch Loki and there's Loki and
All the
there's
variants.
the variants. There's the alligator Loki and there's the different versions of what Loki could be at different times. Like Reputation is got some of that going on too. So I just have to give a shout out to the multiverse of Taylor Swift at this point. All right, so
I like them both.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's and you both picked villains with redemption. So it's not like they're
Yes.
the worst.
Yeah.
It's not like you picked Chernabog. He's just the worst, right?
Okay.
Like from Fantasia? The big
Yes.
Okay. I did not know
I
what
mean,
you were talking
You
about.
don't know, and you live in this
Chernabog.
house,
Yes.
and you don't know who
'Cause
Chernabog is.
sometimes you start talking and then it's like, it's just like, too much.
You need to calm down.
Stop referencing. We're not there yet.
All right, no,
we
we're
are
getting
not there
though.
yet.
Are we
It's
almost
next.
there? It's next.
Okay.
So let's go
go.
to it.
Okay. Keep
All right.
going then.
So
Continue.
as I say, you need to calm down because I don't know where any of these song lyric references fit in this this point in time. But we got to Lover in 2019. And this is when Taylor Swift directly comes back to Disney. They do get back together because during the pandemic, I think this one's released when we were all locked down at home, or at least it became popular at that time. Taylor Swift's City of Lover concert comes out on Disney Plus for all of us to watch at home, which was a nice thing for her to do with Disney Plus, help Disney Plus out. It helped Taylor Swift out. It was some nice synergy, some working together to make something nice for all the fans of Disney and Taylor Swift. But Lover, I do know what Lover looks like. It's like the pinky bluey, like
Okay,
cloudy kind of
I have
look.
a question.
Yeah.
Pink or blue? You have to pick one.
Do you have to pick one?
No, I need you to pick one.
Oh,
like
I
just
need
for
to
the
pick
sake of
one.
knowing what you think about
I would
this.
go more pink if
Okay.
1989 is indeed light blue, because I would want them to be as different as possible.
I agree.
I go pink too.
On the cover, she
passed-
has she
passed
has
the
like
test.
a tie-dye-ish kind of vibe going on in the background of her cover. And she has like the pink.
She had a lot of pink hair during this era too.
She did.
Oh.
I think it's the only era that she's colored her hair in, actually.
She did
as
like,
far
didn't
as
she
I
do
know.
the ends pink? Like the bottom part? Yes.
Okay, so Lover is a little bit. I kind of dropped the aesthetic again, Eric. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's what he wanted in at first.
Well, that's what I was
before
thinking
we
this would be.
convinced
More
him.
about the vibe of the music, man.
Okay, come on.
so
Come on.
my aesthetic pick, I think, would be Aurora in the pink dress. But my actual pick is Mulan.
Stop getting
Interesting.
excited.
I got to ask more about that. But what do you think about those?
Ooh, I
Or do you
like
have-
Mulan.
Mulan?
I like Mulan.
I'm going to ask, why
I like
couldn't
that.
it be? So if we got this idea of the blue and the pink, and we all picked the pink, why couldn't it just be Aurora in the changing dress? Because we're going from blue to pink to blue
Well,
to pink.
I mean, it could be, but
It could be.
But we're going to land on pink. Okay, but what's Mulan?
okay. The song,
What's that all about? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Man.
Yes. She has a song called The Man. Have you ever heard that
Do
song?
you know the song The Man?
No.
I assumed he did not. You need to. Okay.
Here.
After
Tell
this
me
is
about
done,
it.
that's
Well,
what
yeah,
we're
I'm
doing.
sure you'll play it for me.
Oh, yes.
But what is the man?
The Man is basically like the lyric is like, I'm so sick of running as fast as I can. I'd get there quicker if I was the man.
Oh, yeah, that's very Mulan. For
And
sure.
Mulan also has a love story.
I like that.
That's true.
I like that.
Does she look at her reflection on this album at all?
A little bit.
Okay, come on.
She does,
I'm
actually.
You're just
I mean,
I'm
she kind
asking.
of does. So
Okay.
Lover is less of a love story album than Reputation, actually.
When
The
it,
Love and Lover is more, I mean, there are parts where it's like,
Yeah.
yes, they're so in love, but then there's parts where it's like more fragile and kind of anxiety provoking.
gotcha.
In
the
Lover, we
album
have songs like
progresses.
You Need to Calm Down that you were referencing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I agree. I like Mulan. And
Well, and that's weird because if I would just look at all of the covers, and if you were to ask me which one is the most Mulan, I would have probably picked Reputation. Like if you would just show me all the Taylor Swift album covers and asked me to pick one that represents Mulan, I don't know that I would have gotten her from, but I don't know the music as well as you guys do and the story of the albums. But I just find that interesting. A lover, not a fighter, but Mulan.
It's Mulan.
I like
Interesting.
Mulan wins.
Cool.
That one's like definitely.
See,
yeah.
I'm learning stuff. That's
Yeah,
what I like.
you are.
I like to learn stuff about these vibes, these
Okay.
eras. All right.
I'm excited for these ones.
So this gets into something from what I understand is totally, our next era is totally kind of a switch in feel and vibe and whatnot here, because we get into 2020's folklore.
And Evermore.
Folklore and Evermore. Now, when I was saying that these two go together, I was getting a little lip this morning from the Swiftie in the house.
Okay.
You said they go together, but
They do, but like they're not like the exact same. Like,
okay.
They're sisters.
Yes, they're like the sister album situation.
Should we talk about them together, or should we separate them out?
Separate.
Okay. With Folklore, we got another Disney Plus special, and this one I think is truthfully, I haven't watched the Disney Plus special, so Sarah, you might have to fill us in on this. But from what I understand, Folklore: The Long Pond Studio Sessions, which came to Disney Plus, was kind of like more of a behind the scenes in the studio making of kind of situation. No. What is it? It's not a concert film like City of Lover was.
So was more of a moment of pandemic. She couldn't play it live, so they got together and just played the entire album. They talked about it a little, but it's not a lot. I mean, there's some making of, but the point of it was, let's get together and actually play this music together
in the same
out
space.
Loud for the first time.
It was getting the music out there, like kind of like,
because
Gotcha.
Making it was so secluded and they weren't together. Like they're making an album across the country from each other, all of these parties. So we've got like Aaron Dessner, Jack Antonoff, Bon Iver, Justin Vernon, right? Like,
and so they made it remotely.
Yes.
And then came together for this.
All of them. Justin Vernon was kind of like zoomed in, but yeah. So it's Aaron, Taylor, and Jack Antonoff.
Okay.
Just like playing the album like it needs to be played.
Okay. And I do.
Yeah. I mean, there's the history of the Long Pond studio and like recording there and all of that. But that was kind of the point of it, to play the album.
To come together. Now, I did hear that while they were doing the Long Pond studio sessions, recording that film, she was working on Evermore. So that's one thing I will say is a connection there, in that some of Evermore may have come out of events of the Long Pond studio session. But let's stay with Folklore for a second, because
we have to do the Disney character.
We have to find the era Disney character.
So honestly, I don't know. I don't know. So do you know what color this one is, Dad?
Isn't this one flannel?
That's the wrong one.
Evermore.
That's Evermore.
Oh, okay.
No,
what's the color of this one then?
It's like grays. Like
gray?
It's not black.
They're just very neutral.
Yes.
Yeah.
So khaki? Is khaki work?
It's more Evermore-ish.
Yeah.
Okay. So Folklore.
Folklore is like, it's like lighter grays.
Now, does the album have anything to actually do with Folklore? Because a lot of Disney movies come from folklore of around the world.
A little. Okay, there's a little. And it is definitely, she wanted to move to like more of a folk music style, right?
Okay.
So she does a lot more like storytelling in Folklore.
I was going to say, we had to explain this.
I got one.
Third-party storytelling than she does anywhere else. There's 3 songs on the album that go together. It's the song August, the song Betty, and the song Cardigan.
Yes.
Okay.
So she was playing around with storytelling.
And then we've also got the Rebecca Harkness song, The Last Great American Dynasty.
I love that song.
She's telling stories about other people. The idea I had immediately, the troubadour rooster in Robin Hood. Who sings Oodalolly. Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. It's a folk song. Does that work?
Okay. So we need to move to the Cardigan music video.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to just totally disregard my Robin
That didn't
Hood?
happen. We're going to move on.
Okay.
Continue.
I don't even have the best answer for this, but
Apparently
I will tell you, in the song Cardigan, we have the line, Peter losing Wendy.
Oh.
So we're going direct Disney reference, right? And then the music video the music video for Cardigan is like her sort of jumping into her piano, and then she like ends up in the woods, and then she jumps into, what does she jump into in the woods? I don't even remember. Ends up in like this water scene. So she's like telling the story, the Cardigan story, but like shifting into these kind of Neverland-like places. I still actually don't think the character for this album is from Peter Pan, but
I don't
Disney there.
I can't decide on Folklore. Like, it's hard. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
So this is what I went with. And I think we could do better, but
okay, let's
I
hear
went
it.
Pocahontas because of the vibe. I went with the vibe. It's got a woodsy vibe
too.
The storytelling, and then she's got a love story.
Yeah.
That's the best I could do.
I think, yeah. I don't know, like, what else? Like,
Well, let me ask you this. Could we say this is when Taylor Swift gets the closest to channeling her inner Walt Disney, the storyteller of folk tales through different mediums?
I think yes.
Okay, so like
Evermore.
When we're saying like Peter Pan, we're not saying that she's a character in Peter Pan, but she's maybe the force behind telling the story of Peter Pan. And she's,
but are you suggesting that Walt Disney is your character?
Maybe.
But can he be a character? Have we established if he can or cannot be?
Walt played a character. Like the version of Walt that would show on the TV show, the Disneyland TV show or the Wonderful World of Color. Like you could say that Walt, the storyteller on screen, is not the same person as the Walt that people would know as a boss or personally at home. He was playing a character of Walt Disney who was presenting the stories out to the world.
And there is a little bit of escapism, maybe a lot of bit of escapism with Folklore. Lots of storytelling, yeah.
She's maybe not in the story as much as outside the story telling it for us. Like
not Folklore.
Not dissimilar to the Rooster and Robin Hood, but I digress.
I don't know why you keep going back to that. It's obviously not. We already said that didn't happen.
I just keep bringing it up because it seems to get a rise out of you guys.
Okay,
I kind of
like he has like no place. Like
he does.
But like
he's the narrator telling the story.
No Rooster.
He's in Robin Hood. He's a side character.
That's true.
Like,
but she's not the main character in the stories she's telling.
I like the Pocahontas.
Okay.
I like the Walt Disney even. No
Okay.
Roosters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
Please
what
no
about
roosters.
so Evermore doesn't really have a Disney connection, but it's very connected to Folklore, and like we said, it was connected to the Long Pond Studio Sessions. But you have one for us.
I have one. Okay, so we're gonna jump from Wonderland in 1989 to the song on Evermore. Long story short, and the lyric is, "And I fell from the pedestal right down the rabbit hole." So we're back.
We came back
To
Alice
in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland.
So,
Yes.
but is Alice in Wonderland the era of Evermore, the character?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so
It's
what?
not. It
so
can't be.
Folklore, she's telling the story. Evermore, is she still telling the story, or is the story back on her?
A lot of it is back on her, but she's still telling a lot of other stories too. All right, so Evermore has got like the song Marjorie on it, which is about her grandmother, and it has her grandmother singing in it.
Okay.
We've got like Champagne Problems.
I love that song.
Dorothea is another storytelling song. So there are songs that are more, I would say, Taylor coded about her, but there's a lot of storytelling on it as well.
Yeah. And this one is the flannel album.
This
just
is
so we're clear.
flannel.
This has more like fall colors. I feel like.
So I'm going to throw a Hail Mary here
Go
and
ahead.
take a wild guess. Can I say Kristoff in Frozen 2? Because he's
Close.
lost in the woods and he's kind of fall and flannelly feeling.
I went Elsa from Frozen 2.
Okay. She becomes very natural in that one and
Yes,
she gets back to her
yes.
roots.
Towards the end more-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
like Elsa where she lands in Frozen 2.
Taylor Swift
Okay,
is in Evermore.
I see it.
I like that. And I like that I was not too far off.
In the right
My
movie.
Kristoff guess.
You were close.
I was just going based on flannel. Even though Kristoff
Yeah.
doesn't wear flannel, he kind of feels like he would be if it was like 100 years later.
One
in
thing.
I will say,
Yes.
oh, I was going to say that power ballad Kristoff has in Frozen 2, I think would go on 1989, but
That would be awesome.
that's the point.
Y'all kind of lost me on the colors with Folklore and Evermore because they didn't have as defined of a vibrant color.
You're right.
So it's just because they're kind of beigey, and it's
They
more
are.
of the aesthetic.
That's the aesthetic. All
Also,
right.
the braid in Evermore is very Elsa. I forgot about that part.
Oh, she just gotta flip
I
it
like
over
the
her shoulder.
braid. Well, yeah. So we have the braid, we have the flannel, the outdoorsy kind of vibe.
Feel.
I like Elsa. But at the
Evermore.
end of Frozen 2, we have to specify.
Elsa at the end of Frozen 2.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's get on to our next era.
So excited.
Again, we don't have a direct, like Disney and Taylor Swift didn't do anything, but maybe there's some Disney references in the Taylor Swift of
He didn't.
2022's Midnights.
He doesn't know, does he?
He doesn't. We just watched the Bejeweled music
Yeah.
video, but he doesn't know like what we're talking about here, and it's kind of a Wonderland situation once again.
I saw it, and it's very Cinderella.
It
and
is.
the stepsisters and
Yeah,
Haim,
that's why.
right? That's them. Are
Yes, it's
all the
Haim.
stepsisters, and
Yes.
Laura Dern's in this, and I like me a good Laura Dern starring role.
That's all he could talk about.
But I mean, yeah, it's definitely a Cinderella
I mean,
nod.
I leaned into the Cinderella. I feel like she leaned into the midnight factor. And then when you come out with the Bejeweled music
Midnight.
video and start with the stepsisters and the whole vibe, I think
It's
she
like-
leaned into it. The color works. I
She
took
chose Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
She chose.
So
She
is it-
chose. She chose Cinderella.
It's just Cinderella. So like I saw
Just
the
Cinderella.
It's what she chose.
I saw the video. Like I said, Laura Dern, wonderful. And then I knew the album was called Midnights, but I didn't necessarily connect that song and
Midnights.
video were from that album.
Yes.
And then when you guys all put it together, I was like, oh, okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
So Cinderella.
And Midnight
Cinderella.
is
I
blue,
think we
a
have to
darker
go.
blue, but it's
It's
Cinderella.
a darker bluish.
Yeah.
The sky
Yes.
in Cinderella is a very dark blue at night. They just remastered it in 4K and whatnot to make the dress bluer. So,
Oh,
because it was kind of
Ah.
fading into white over the years on the film. So if you watch it now on Disney Plus, it doesn't get dark blue, but it gets bluer, I will say. So that one was pretty easy. Is there anything else we have to mention about that? That one's kind of like cut and paste.
I think that one is pretty easy. We can leave it.
Cinderella.
We'll let you go into your next point here.
Yes. So we have to stop and talk about this because this is after Midnights. Although we still have all of the Taylor's version album drops coming around this time too. But kind of moving forward, we get into the EARas tour. And so the EARas tour happened. It was the biggest thing in the world. Ticketmaster basically started on fire.
The Swifties broke it.
The Swifties broke it because Ticketmaster thought they had this bulletproof system and it just fell apart.
We broke it.
I
was there,
weakness.
unfortunately.
Yeah, well, but then you were fortunately there at some of the shows of the actual EARas
Multiple
tour.
shows.
I have been to multiple shows. I have one to go.
And you got another one. Oh my goodness.
I did. The first one I worked really hard for. The second two were a little easier.
A little.
Just a little.
So you got to see the EARas tour. I know Maddie didn't get to go to the EARas tour in person.
I saw the movie with my
But she
friends.
saw the movie with her friends. I'm imagining, Sarah, were you there watching the movie too in your movie theater?
I did go to the movie theater.
I don't know about you, but I dressed up for the movie.
I did. I wore this cardigan, actually. Okay, so for the EARas tour, let's talk about the EARas tour.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I made friendship bracelets for sure. I exchanged friendship bracelets with lots of people.
Nice.
My first day outfit, I was Reputation Taylor, makeup and all.
So you're basically Taylor bounding.
Basically, yes. It's a little Taylor bounding. My second show, I was more Lover era Taylor. I had the heart rhinestones.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, and I didn't say this earlier, but my post EARas Tour Disney World trip, there were people trading friendship bracelets at Disney World.
So the friendship bracelets started to infiltrate the Disney fandom.
They combined in some cases.
Interesting.
It has crossed for sure.
That is pretty cool. And not only did it cross that way, but the EARas Tour movie is coming soon to Disney Plus.
It shall be watched over and over.
Yeah. Now, how is that going to change? I know she's adding more songs for the Disney Plus release. It's going to be kind of a big deal that way. But are you going to? This is a question to each of you individually. Are you going to like dress up and sing in your, like, how does that, is this going to be that good of an experience compared to seeing it in the theater, compared to seeing it live? How is that going to change this experience in your own home?
It's going to be better than watching it on TikTok every night. So that is a whole other.
Okay, then.
I'll agree with that.
Other aspect of it. So I will say the movie compared to the concert, it was like crazier than any movie I've been to in my life. Literally, like, people were dressed up, people were trading bracelets, people were
in there
singing.
That was me.
And there was enough people to add in, because there's like moments of the EARas Tour that it's sort of Rocky Horror-esque. Like, you have to participate.
Okay.
You have to shout the things. Like, there are things you're supposed to shout. Like, there are things you're supposed to say. Like,
is it like the Frozen sing-along at MGM Studios where everyone has to, all the toddlers have to stand up and sing Let It Go and stuff like that?
It's like that, yes. So, like, I will tell you.
To bring it back to Disney?
Yeah.
Then part of it, too, is, like, you know, we didn't talk about the surprise song factor. That's a little bit of, like, her adding extra songs. And she did take out some songs for the EARas Tour in theater that are every night. And then she does her 2 surprise songs every night. It's part of, like, the fun. That's a, like, part of the fandom is, like, what is she going to sing? What do we want her to sing? Well, even if we saw the EARas Tour, we haven't seen every surprise song because she's trying to sing every song from her entire catalog. So it's got people, like, getting up at 5 a.m. right now to watch the Sydney surprise songs.
The surprise songs in the EARas Tour movie were our song from the debut album.
Yes.
And You're on Your Own, Kid from Midnights.
Okay.
Those were the ones that were in the
Those
movie.
are the immortalized surprise songs that you'll be able to watch on Disney Plus coming soon.
Yes.
And she does not cover debut in the EARas Tour unless it happens to be in a surprise song. It's the only one.
Interesting.
Yes.
Will she ever Taylor's version the
I knew you were going to say that.
Because, well, let me tie it back to Disney real quick.
It was coming.
Because Disney has this habit of playing very close to the vest with Mickey Mouse and like Snow White is another one that they won't just like throw out there because those are their like original treasures and they're the first ones and they don't mess around with it. Does she have, is it something like that with the first one, or is it something like I'm just way too different now and it's not, I don't know what to do with this yet? Will she ever do it?
She's doing it last. She already announced the order. Well, you know, Taylor likes Easter eggs. So that's another, like, especially Pixar connection.
Yeah.
She is an Easter egg girl. So she has already released in her own Easter egg way. I think it involved emoji hearts of different colors. But Rep TV is going to come next. And then debut will be last.
Okay. I feel like that makes sense. She's going to wait till the end for that one.
I'm interested to see what she'll do with it because I think she could go kind of out there and do something different with that first one instead of some of the ones I have to like double check if I hear. I'm like, is this a Taylor's version or is this because she does cover it so close? But there's an opportunity,
Debut is going to be the most different sound wise. I hear a lot of sound choices that are different in Speak Now. Not so much in Fearless or Red or even 1989.
1989 sounds the most similar, I think. She made it like it's basically the same. Like how she sounds, like her voice.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah.
The EARas Tour movie is going to be great. I mean, and we don't know a lot about like the why all of the things recently are going to Disney Plus over other places either.
True. Disney just is trying. They're still trying to keep her close. They're still trying to keep her close because they know it's a big deal.
She's big.
And maybe they understand that the Venn diagram between Swifties and Disney fans is very overlapping, right? Like there's a lot of people in both fandoms. As far as, I don't know that the EARas tour movie / concert experience can be an era itself. But I'm just going to throw out there, it would have to be something like Phantasmic as not a character, but like kind of a mashup of all those Disney things coming together. It's like all those Taylor things coming together.
Can we say it's Wish? Because Wish was an Easter egg. Like it is an Easter egg. Like,
Wish was all the Easter. That's all it was
itself,
in
like
a
you
way.
have
it was,
every.
I mean,
Easter egg
that's valid. I think though
Wish.
that the EARas tour was probably a bigger deal than Wish, unfortunately for Disney. The EARas tour movie in theaters. Wish didn't hit as hard as they wanted it to.
I still haven't seen Wish either.
Okay. Yeah,
all right. Are we going to cover?
Yeah, we got to get to it.
He said we weren't going to, but then I said we should, and he was like, "Well, we don't know because it hasn't come out yet."
So I originally didn't know if we should do it because we don't know what's going to come from this upcoming Taylor Swift era. So we're moving into a new era. I think we need
to make a guess, though. We need to make a guess.
So the Tortured Poets Department is coming out later this year, a couple months from now.
April 19th.
April 19th.
It's on my calendar.
We're
waiting.
What do we expect this era to feel like?
All right. So first of all, Disney Connection.
Yes.
There is a track. Mm-hmm. The track list has been released called
Yes, it has.
But Daddy, I Love Him, which is a line from The Little Mermaid, right?
Yes,
it is.
And Taylor wore an Ariel costume in 2019. I think it was for a New Year's Eve party, not Halloween. But
I think you're right.
She definitely, and The Little Mermaid came out in guess what year?
1989. I know that mostly because of Disney and less because of the connection you were trying to make there.
So my connection, that's not my character for the era, but I think there is going to be I think we can expect that track to have sort of a whoever's dad, whether it be hers or if it's a storytelling track, does not want the protagonist to be with her love interest, right? Because Taylor, it's very intentionally called that. All right. So era vibe, we don't know a lot yet.
I need to know. Dad, have you seen the cover? Have you seen the pictures? I have seen the cover.
I have seen the cover. It's black and white, and she's
we just
laying
have to
on a
make
bed.
sure.
But I'm more into the name because I'm going to throw out this guess, and then you guys could give the real guess, I guess, because mine's going to be terrible. But I can't not think of the Dead Poets Society.
Yes.
So I'm just like, is it Robin Williams, Oh Captain, My Captain?
Okay.
Is the Disney character, because that movie is a Touchstone Pictures Disney film. So that's what I'm going with. But you guys tell me the real one that you might think.
So we don't know that much about it yet.
We have new information, though. So there's a bonus track called Albatross.
Yes, I saw that.
And there's some interesting things with that we don't have to go into. But her outfit at the Grammys versus what an albatross looks like with the white and then the black. So I think the color she has, we don't really know the color. I think since Rep is black, this one's going to have to be white. It's got a black and white aesthetic. She was definitely in more white than black. So the funny answer is Wilbur from Rescuers Down Under,
who is
an albatross.
I was going to guess Scuttle, but that's better.
He's an albatross, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the aesthetic is a little Cruella de Vil. That's my opinion.
It is.
But is she gonna be? Is she gonna be evil like?
See,
that?
we don't know that, so we have to go based off of the colors at this point.
I mean,
this is why the colors come into play. Do you see now? Do you understand?
A little bit, and that's all we have to go off of right now. Some track listing, what she wore to the Grammys, and some colors. So
I think we don't know about the story. We can speculate, but I mean, and Cruella also had an origin movie. She wasn't always a villain, right? There's this whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, but aesthetically, I think Cruella de Vil.
I think so.
You guys like that? Well, we'll have to see. And then when it comes out and y'all listen to it, you'll have to let me know so I can give an update on our EARas.
Okay.
as we called it. So I thought that was pretty fun. We got to go through all the eras. I learned a lot about Taylor Swift, and I feel more connected to her through Disney. So that's a good thing.
That's a good for you, Maddie.
Right. And so first off, thank you both for schooling me on Taylor Swift and her connections with Disney.
Oh, definitely.
No problem. We've been doing this a long time, actually. Wow.
Yeah. Is there anything?
Yes.
Is there anything else Is there anything either of you have to plug or you want to mention before I close out the show?
Okay.
Let's go.
I'm gonna plug your previous Aerosmith episode. Let's re-theme it to Taylor Swift. Rock and roller coaster.
The rock and roller coaster. Oh, that would be cool. So a campaign to get maybe that's why Disney is trying to keep her close. It's supposed to go under refurbishment this summer.
I just think it would be so much more fun for me.
For you specifically.
I've
A lot of
never-
people though too.
I've never been on that ride.
No, you never
before.
did. You never did. And then when we go this summer, I think it's supposed to be under refurbishment.
That's
so
okay.
You
That's
don't
okay.
need to see Aerosmith in
You
a
know
back
what?
alley
I'm
or
fine.
anything.
I'm okay.
I went on it in June. That was only the second time I've been on it. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot it's a real roller coaster and goes upside down and everything.
Right away.
But it desperately needs a re-theme at this point, I think.
Yeah. Even as an Aerosmith fan, it is feeling a little stale. That would be cool.
That's all I got. That
I'm
was
just
my
gonna
extra.
say I would be more definitely willing to ride it.
Oh, yeah, you would.
Like
Yeah.
100%. I would just be only there. But
For sure.
that's
No, I like that. So there you go. That's what we're asking for. A rock and roller
yes,
coaster
please,
re-theme
Disney, please.
to Taylor Swift.
Please.
Thanks to both of my guests, Maddie and Sarah, for telling me all about Taylor Swift. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Synergy Loves Company. I truly appreciate you taking your time to listen to me talk about Disney with my friends and family in these podcast episodes. But I want to hear from you. Find me on the socials, say hi. Let me know what you think about our eras. Do you think something different? Is there a better character you could put into one of those eras? I want to hear what you think. You can find me on Instagram and Threads at Synergy Loves Company. If you are feeling like you get value from Synergy Loves Company and you want to give some back, you can do that on Ko-fi. If you look in the show description or go to synergylovescompany.com, you could find a link to my Ko-fi page where you can give back to the show and help it keep going, because every little bit helps. Another way you can help is by sharing the show to help it grow. Share Synergy Loves Company with your Swiftie friends who love Disney just as much as you do. Just tell them to go to synergylovescompany.com, because sharing the show is the number one way you can support the show, and your support means the world to me. That's all for today. Thanks for exploring Disney's connections with me, and until next time, keep discovering the magic in everything.